Γεια σας, καλησπέρα και θέλω να σας πω ότι απόψε έχω την ιδιαίτερη χαρά και την τιμή να φιλοξενώ πραγματικά έναν θρύλο της παγκόσμιας μουσικής, έναν από τους σημαντικότερους συνθέτες και παραγωγούς των τελευταίων χρόνων, βρίσκεται πίσω από τεράστιες επιτυχίες παγκοσμίως. Δεν υπάρχει άνθρωπος στον κόσμο που να μην έχει τραγουδήσει, ακούσει, χορέψει με τραγούδια του. Πάνω από 80 τραγούδια του έχουν βρεθεί στο top 40 του Billboard και έχει πουλήσει πάνω από 500 εκατομμύρια δίσκους. Έτσι. Είναι ο Desmond Child και θέλω να σε ευχαριστήσω πάρα πολύ για την σημερινή παρουσία σου. Σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
It's my pleasure. I'm just so thrilled to be in Greece. I've been here 3 times this year, and you know, it's always feels like home.
Ξεκινώντας, θα κάνουμε έναν μικρό απολογισμό αυτής της πολύ μεγάλης καριέρας. Όταν μιλάμε για περισσότερα από 80 τραγούδια που έχουν διαπρέψει παγκοσμίως και έχεις πουλήσει πάνω από 500 εκατομμύρια δίσκους, όταν κοιτάζεις αυτή τη διαδρομή, ποια είναι η μεγαλύτερη ικανοποίηση που νιώθεις για όλα αυτά τα χρόνια και για όλα αυτά τα τραγούδια που τραγουδάει όλος ο κόσμος και πάρα πολλές γενιές?
The thing that makes me the happiest is when I see a football game, soccer or American football or baseball. They always sing the song that I wrote with Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora, "Living on a Prayer." It's so moving to me that people start singing the song spontaneously, and so I always get goosebumps, you know, when I'm hearing about stadiums full of people singing the song, and also seeing that there are people of all ages, people with white hair. Every kind of color, ethnicity. It's a song that brings people together. In fact, it recently came to me that in the Ukraine war that they've been playing "Living on a Prayer," but then they hear the other side playing "Living on a Prayer."
Θα ήθελα να γυρίσουμε λίγο το χρόνο πίσω πριν από όλες αυτές τις επιτυχίες και τις πολύ μεγάλες συνεργασίες εννοείται, και θα ήθελα να μάθω ο νεαρός Desmond πότε κατάλαβε ότι η μουσική δεν ήταν απλώς ένα όνειρο αλλά ήταν ένας προορισμός στη ζωή σου.
My mother, the Cuban poet and songwriter Elena Casas, who they call La Musa, she was always writing songs, and I didn't know that people didn't write songs. I thought that's what everybody did. So as soon as I was old enough to get up on the piano bench and start making noises, I started writing songs, and it was natural for me. My great-grandfather was a poet. My grandfather wrote books. And my mother wrote hundreds of poems and songs herself. And so it was something that just came naturally to me. And I didn't really want to do anything else. I didn't want to have a B plan.
Ποια ήταν η στιγμή ίσως που ένιωσες ότι έχεις κατακτήσει μια σημαντική θέση μέσα στη μουσική?
Truthfully, I don't feel like I've established myself. I'm still working. I just came from the beautiful island of Folegandros, where I meet up with my songwriting friends, and we write songs. And I just wrote 5 songs with my collaborators, Andreas Carlson, Jimmy Jansen, Leo Dante. And so I'm out there trying to make it. I don't ever feel like I arrive.
Έχεις γράψει κάποια τραγούδια που πραγματικά είναι ύμνοι και ήθελα να ρωτήσω αν υπάρχει κάποιο από αυτό που ακόμα και τώρα θα το ακούσεις, θα πεις εγώ το έχω γράψει αυτό το τραγούδι, είναι δικό μου, δηλαδή σου δημιουργεί ακόμα ένα πολύ έντονο συναίσθημα?
Well, the truth is, Living on a Prayer, that's the song that I'm the most proud of. Don't tell Paul Stanley, but I'm very proud of Living on a Prayer because it's a song that gives people hope and lifts people up. And I sometimes I think to myself, how did that happen? Just writing with these two long-haired guys from New Jersey, John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora, and they had just, had one or two records out as Bon Jovi, and I came in on the third album and it exploded. And that song was the song that really, have to admit, changed the course of pop music.
Όταν θα βρεθείς στο στούντιο με έναν καλλιτέχνη, τι είναι το πρώτο πράγμα που θα προσπαθήσεις να ανακαλύψεις? Τη φωνή του, το χαρακτήρα του, τι άνθρωπος είναι? Ποια στοιχεία είναι αυτά που θα διερευνήσεις πρώτα όταν θα βρεθείς μέσα στο στούντιο πια για να φτιάξετε ένα τραγούδι?
I'm a person that empathizes. Some say that I'm what you call an empath. And so when I meet someone, especially for the first time, I'm looking at them and immediately I feel who they are. And that's where I grab the idea. And they can talk about this, they can talk about that, but pretty soon they're communicating what they need to be saying. Not only to the world, but to themselves. So writing a song and then singing the song is almost a healing or a therapy or some journey that they need to be going through.
Πώς αισθάνεσαι που η μουσική και τα τραγούδια σου συντροφεύουν ολόκληρες γενιές όλα αυτά τα χρόνια?
A few of my songs have already reached the billion mark on Spotify. And so I'm very proud of that. And, it's just so fulfilling that I've written, a few songs that maybe will be remembered into the next century. And so it's a very good feeling.
Υπήρξε κάποια στιγμή που συγκινήθηκες πολύ έντονα με κάποιους από τους στίχους από τα τραγούδια σου που το τραγουδούσε ο κόσμος είτε σε μία συναυλία είτε κάπου αλλού και σε συγκίνησε ιδιαίτερα?
I'll never forget the moment my sons were old enough. My husband and I brought our sons to a Bon Jovi concert, and they heard Living on a Prayer for the first time, sung by, 80,000 people in a stadium. And it made me so proud that, I was able to share that with them. And they're my biggest fans, and I'm their biggest fan.
Το 2008 ενταχθήκατε στο Songwriters Hall of Fame, μία από τις υψηλότερες διακρίσεις που μπορεί να λάβει ένας δημιουργός. Τι σημαίνει μία τέτοια διάκριση?
Well, for me, being inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, that's the highest honor that a songwriter can receive. And I was so happy that I was able to bring my mother. She was in the last part of her years, and she came, and when they announced my name, I came up and I introduced her. She was in the audience, and she stood up, and the whole audience went crazy. And then she turned around and looked, and they went even more crazy. It was almost like she won the award. And that's always how it's been with my mother. She raised me and my brother Fred. She was a single mother, and music was her life. And so for me to have success, it's almost like she was having the success. But it took her many, many years to call me Desmond because my real name was John Charles Barrett. And so I changed my name when I was 16 to Desmond Child. And then after Livin La Vida Loca, the song I wrote with Draco Rosa for Ricky Martin, and it went all the way to #1 for 5 weeks. She started calling me Desmond, you know. And so all of a sudden she was very proud of me. Sometimes I think my whole career is a kind of a form of revenge for feeling like an outcast. Maybe because we were poor and because I was gay and didn't fit in. But now when I go to my high school reunions, I'm a star. So I got my revenge.
Έχεις πει πολλές φορές ότι η Ελλάδα έχει μια ξεχωριστή θέση στην καρδιά σου. Τι είναι αυτό που βρίσκεις εδώ και δεν το βρίσκεις πουθενά αλλού στον κόσμο?
I first came to Greece with my family, my husband, and our 2 sons, Roman and Nero. They were 5 years old. And we just keep coming back every year to our beautiful, beloved island of Folegandros. And our kids grew up with the kids on the street. And those kids were the sons and daughters of the people that owned the tavernas and the little stores. And they didn't speak the same language, but they would play hide and seek and then soon soccer. And to this day, our sons, they go there without us. And so they meet up with their Folegandros friends. And this year was our 17th trip to Folegandros. And of course, we always stop through Athens and meet up with, you know, Phoebus and George Lambesis and, you know, our beautiful friends from Autodia. And Greece is I almost can't say it's our second home. It's our other home. Okay. You know, we just love it so much. And the people, when we first arrived, we didn't know how people were going to react to a family of 2 fathers and 2 twin sons. And everybody embraced us and everybody accepted us and they gave us so much love. And we're just so happy that, you know, finally Greece has gay marriage and more families like ours will exist.
Ποια ελληνική λέξη ή ποια ελληνική αξία πιστεύεις ότι σε εκφράζει καλύτερα?
Well, the first Greek word I learned was from Phoebus when we were writing a song together called Όλα καλά.
Όλα καλά.
And we wrote it for Sάκη Ruvás, and we had a big hit with it. And so I love that because no matter what happens, even if it's sad or, you know, it's όλα καλά, things will be okay. Things will be okay. Just keep going.
Θέλω να μου πεις πότε γεννήθηκε η ιδέα για την συναυλία που αφιερώθηκε για την επιστροφή των γλυπτών του Παρθενώνα.
It must have been about 6 or 7 years ago that our good friend George Lambesis said, you know, let's do an evening in Athens of your music and bring, you know, artists to come and perform their hits. And I think we were having dinner with Phoebus, and Phoebus said, oh, but if you're going to do an evening of your music, it has to be at the Herodian. And it's like, really? I mean, do I merit that? And, you know, I thought to myself, well, the only way that it would be okay is if we dedicated the concert to the Acropolis Museum and the campaign, the mission to bring back the Parthenon sculptures from where they are now. And it gave a spirit to the concert. The concert was directed by Fokas Evangelinos, and he created a different atmosphere, a different set for every song. It had different colors, it had, you know, beautiful graphics, and actually I didn't know what was going to happen because I was busy at the Christmas theater rehearsing. And so it was astounding how it all came together thanks to Fokas. And you know, one of the most moving moments of the concert was when the Rasmus performed Love Will Keep Us Alive from the Scorpions album, Humanity Hour One, which I co-wrote and produced. And it was at the point in the concert, because at the beginning of the concert, we all wore blue. And then the second half of the concert, we wore white, because those are the colors of Greece. And so he came out in beautiful white clothes. And then from the top of the stairs down came these children holding these beautiful globes and singing. And they came all the way down and around the stage. And then came adults with the same thing. And it was a kind of, we are the Greeks. I don't know, it was just so beautiful. And I feel that that song in particular, you know, Love Will Keep Us Alive, you know, it means so much even more now, because there are so many dangers in the world. But the only way we're going to overcome them is if we start putting out the love and understanding from our hearts out. And so that was a beautiful, beautiful, very special spiritual moment in the show.
Υπάρχει κάτι συγκεκριμένο που σε έκανε να αισθανθείς ότι αυτός ο αγώνας για την επιστροφή των γλυπτών του Παρθενώνα σε αφορά προσωπικά?
Well, it goes back to my mother, because when I was born, she knew a sculptor, a sculptress, Lee Burnham, who created a work of art. It was a big tablet made out of Brazilian walnut, and carved in it was her figure, and there were men behind her that looked like they were Greeks with beards and robes. And it was the only good thing that we owned. And when I came home from school one day, it was gone. And I thought maybe someone stole it. But she was at the kitchen table crying because she had to sell it, because she was at the end. She had no money. And I swore in that minute that I would get it back. And so I began a journey, and it took 45 years to buy it back from the family that had bought it from her. And so I didn't really realize this story connected to the Parthenon sculptures, because after the concert, when I was on the runway and we were taking off, I looked down and I suddenly realized the whole cause was my story too.
Ποιο είναι το σημαντικότερο μήνυμα που θέλησες να στείλεις μέσα από αυτή τη συναυλία?
The most important message that I wanted to put out there, and, you know, with the help of, 100 people, was to tell the world that the Parthenon is a temple. It's a religious place. It's a spiritual place. And the theft of those sculptures is a desecration of a holy shrine. And I think that museums around the world, think that it's nice to display some, something of some religious effect, that they somehow they got it. But the Parthenon sculptures, they've been there since the beginning, since 2,500 years, right? And they are not separately works of art. Together, they make one work of art. And that's why it's important that the country that's holding them does the right thing and returns them. And we have a beautiful museum here, ready with the places for them all to go. And if somebody wants to see them, especially from the UK, come to Greece. Come and see them here. and then have a great time. And so, you know, I think ultimately everyone will see that this is a special case and that the sculptures need to come home.
Και κάπως έτσι εμείς θα πάμε να κάνουμε την πρώτη μας διακοπή και θα επιστρέψουμε σε πολύ λίγο. Είναι εδώ ο Desmond Child, σας το λέω ξανά, προσπαθώ και εγώ ίδιος να το πιστέψω ότι είναι δίπλα μου. Σε λίγα λεπτά θα είμαστε και πάλι μαζί. Επιστροφή στο Mad For Greekζ και είναι πολύ μεγάλη και η χαρά και η τιμή, θα το ξαναπώ, που είναι μαζί μου ο Desmond Child και θέλω να σε ρωτήσω ποια είναι τα συναισθήματα την πρώτη στιγμή που πάτησες στο ηρώδειο.
First of all, I had been injured about 6 months before and I had difficulty going down the steps. So Fokas got me 4 gladiators that lined the steps so I could, you know, grab onto their arms as I was going down the stairs. But when I got to the stage and I saw that we were sold out, it gave me such a beautiful feeling because it was magical. Everybody felt it. It was everybody said that there had never been a night like that there. And so I felt that I was in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. Of course, we have the documentary coming out. Hopefully we'll find a home for the documentary, but the album is coming out July 24th, and it's all the songs. And I'm very, very, very proud of how it sounds, and very lucky that we got Bonnie Tyler to perform at the concert. And she sang 3 songs, and they're magnificent.
Πιστεύεις ότι αυτή η βραδιά άγγιξε κόσμο και εκτός της Ελλάδας?
I think it did because suddenly there was a lot of negotiation going on after a long time of nothing. And so, you know, those negotiations continue even after, you know, 5 different prime ministers that our prime minister Mitsotakis had to deal with, and so the negotiations are still happening. And somebody told me, a little bird in my ear told me, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're coming back.
Και μιας και ανέφερες τώρα την Bonnie Tyler, να μιλήσουμε λίγο για αυτήν. Πριν λίγο διάστημα την αποχαιρετήσαμε. Δεν ξέρω τι είναι αυτό που έχει αφήσει ανεξίτηλο σαν αποτύπωμα, αλλά θα ήθελες να μοιραστείς μαζί μας εάν υπάρχει κάποια έτσι προσωπική στιγμή, ίσως για τον ίδιο τον άνθρωπο, για την Bonnie Tyler και όχι μόνο τον καλλιτέχνη, που θα ήθελες έτσι να μοιραστείς μαζί μας.
I produced an album for Bonnie Tyler called Hide Your Heart, and I wrote many songs for her, and we recorded it in Bearsville, New York, at a legendary studio where Janis Joplin recorded. And I think one of the most beautiful things about her is she was the most prepared artist that I'd ever worked with. She came in with the songs memorized, no lyrics falling on the floor or anything like that, because that was how she sang, from inside out. And, you know, she could really feel the songs because she wasn't depending on reading words. And, you know, every other artist I've ever known, they're kind of making it up as they go along. She was the most prepared artist, the sweetest artist, always made everybody feel good. And what I remember was after the recording sessions, her husband, Robert Sullivan, would take us out for a dinner, and we'd be, drinking, and it was a Chinese restaurant where we went all the time. And of course, it was wonderful because he was the only one that had any money, so he always paid for the bill. And Bonnie, after singing all day long, was still laughing and telling stories, and she had a bit of a naughty mouth too, which I loved. She would say a few little, off-color, what we call bad words, and so that's what I love about her. She was majestic, but she was very humble.
Τι θα ήθελες για να επιστρέψουμε να κρατήσει ένας νέος άνθρωπος που θα δει αυτό το ντοκιμαντέρ?
I would love a young person that watched the documentary. We called it Desmond Child Rocks the Parthenon. And I would like them to take away from it the seeing how many hits I had, how hard I worked for 50 years, and what it takes. And I must admit, I still feel like I haven't made it. And I think that applies to almost everything. There's no ending until you're ended. And I think that working hard for your dream is the most important thing. I tell my sons that are still, going to college and all of that, I said, find something to do that you can't wait to wake up and go and do it. I mean, I'm that way. I can't wait to get back and keep writing the song. They say there are only two kinds of people: the person that looks forward to Friday and the person that looks forward to Monday.
Έχεις πει ότι ο Παρθενώνας είναι μία προσευχή τυλιγμένη σε μάρμαρο. Τι αισθάνεσαι κάθε φορά που αντικρίζεις το ναό?
Every time I look up at it, I look around and I see the rest of the city, and only imagine what it must have been like 2,500 years ago when they were building it. And the city has grown so much since then. But out of nowhere, at the top of this mountain, is this temple. It's awesome. It takes your breath away. And I know that it's suffered a lot of damage, who hasn't, in a long lifetime of 2,500 years. And so there are pieces missing. But it still has a power. And it's one of the 7 or I don't know how many wonders of the world. It's like the Egyptian pyramids. It's spectacular. And so I think that there's something about it that keeps bringing people back. And it's a magnet. And it's also a power center. I believe in that. You can feel the power coming from the Parthenon.
Αν αύριο επέστρεφαν τα γλυπτά του Παρθενώνα και σου ζητούσαν να διοργανώσεις τη συναυλία επιστροφής, ποιο θα ήταν το πρώτο τραγούδι που θα διάλεγες να ακουστεί σε εκείνη τη βραδιά?
The first song would be the Greek national anthem.
Έχει συγκινηθεί. Πολύ.
I am. Greece means so much to me, the people of Greece. And we brought up our children coming here. And it's a feeling that's deep inside. And a feeling of being home and feeling safe and being accepted for who we are and loved for who we are. That's what we feel from the people of Greece.
Εδώ θα κάνουμε την επόμενη διακοπή μας για πολύ λίγο και θα επιστρέψουμε με τον Desmond Child. Εννοείται είναι εδώ μαζί μου. Πολύ μεγάλη και χαρά και τιμή, θα το ξαναπώ. Πάμε για μικρή διακοπή και θα επιστρέψουμε. Επιστροφή Mad For Greekζ και Desmond Child εδώ μαζί μου. Θέλω να σε ρωτήσω πώς έχει ζήσει όλες αυτές τις πολύ μεγάλες αλλαγές της παγκόσμιας μουσικής. Πόσο διαφορετική είναι η μουσική σήμερα σε σχέση με το παρελθόν.
When I started out in my music career, we didn't have all of this technical advantage that we have today. And so everything was harder because if you didn't have the money to go into a recording studio, it was very difficult to make records. So maybe it made people get better at it, practice more with, you know, not being able to make music at home the way people are today. And you know, today there are 1 million songs released every week. So what do you do with that? Who's listening to all of those songs? And how does someone find out about you? But, you know, it's a combination of many things, social media and friends talking, oh, have you heard this? Have you heard that? And that's how it was then. Have you heard the new Beatles album? That was then. You know, have you heard the Rolling Stones' new album? Have you heard Bob Dylan's new album? And we'd get an album this size, and you'd open it, and you'd read all the credits and the lyrics. Everything was printed. Now you get nothing. It's just a playlisted song. And before, a whole album meant something. It was a journey. Now, people pick one song they like, and they move on. And they make their own album of songs from here, from there, things they like. It's their own playlist. And so, I think one of the things that hurt music was all of these stations. Every station has a different style. Rock station, jazz station, folk station, classical, because those audiences don't move over and listen to other things that could bring them new influences, new ideas. So I think that it's always been difficult because honestly, number one only has room for one and everything else is underneath. And so, you know, I feel that to be number one, it takes so much, so many people working hard to get you there. And also, it's been very difficult, especially after COVID, for people to start performing again and to get the funding to go and get a band and a tour bus and all of these things to be able to bring their music live. And so I don't know where it's going to end up. We'll probably get the Beatles performing in our living room next. You know, avatars that just go 3D right there, and you can talk to Paul McCartney and John Lennon and whatever period you want to talk to them. I don't know what the future is going to bring. But the thing is that, you know, with AI, you can say, okay, I want a song that goes this way, goes that way, goes this way, but it doesn't have soul because it's just pieces of things that are already made. It's not original from your soul. And I do believe in the souls, you know, that somehow your soul is connected to something universal and that new ideas come in through your soul. I do believe that. It's like a new star being born. And AI can't give you that.
Άρα, αν υποθέσω, είσαι αρνητικός στο AI σε σχέση με τη μουσική, γιατί δεν είναι ψυχή. Είναι αποσπάσματα από πάρα πολλά τραγούδια σας που δεν ξέρω και αν έχουν δοθεί και οι άδειες ώστε να χρησιμοποιηθούν.
I'm not negative about AI. I see it as a tool. There was a time when I wrote with Paul Stanley, we co-wrote I Was Made for Loving You, and I had a little drum machine. It was about this big that it sounded like a drum. And so pretty soon there were these elaborate machines that could make the sounds of drums, and all the drummers got mad. You're taking away our job. And the synthetic strings, all of a sudden you had what sounded like an orchestra and it was synthetic. So that already started 30 years ago. So AI can be a wonderful tool, could save people time and this and that. But it's the person that's asking the prompt. That's what you ask. I want it. I want this. No, not like that. Like this. There's no difference between that and me saying it to an orchestra. I see it's the person and the soul of the person that's asking. You know, when all of a sudden you don't need to be asked because AI is doing the asking, then we're in trouble because there's no use anymore for us. But I do think that progress and innovation can be used for the good. And this is one of the examples that it could be used for the bad or it could be used for the good. Let's lean towards the good.
Πλέον οι επιτυχίες γεννιούνται μέσα από το streaming ή από τα κοινωνικά δίκτυα. Πιστεύεις ότι εξακολουθούν να δημιουργούν διαχρονικά τραγούδια ή ζούμε σε μια εποχή όπου οι επιτυχίες είναι γρήγορες, έρχονται και φεύγουν, δεν κρατάνε?
I love some of the music that's coming out today. I mean, I love Chapel Roan. I love listening to Somber. I love new things. And so I think that some of those songs that they're making today might stand the test of time. Maybe we'll still love them, Pink Pony Club, 20 years from now. We shall see. And so I think that I encourage, you know, people that want to make their music and say something and be original. I think it's all great.
Θέλεις να μας πεις κάτι και για το πολύ ωραίο βιβλίο που έχω εδώ και είναι και στα αγγλικά αλλά και στα ελληνικά, έτσι έχει κυκλοφορήσει στην Ελλάδα και στα δύο. Θα μας πεις λίγα λόγια για αυτό εδώ?
Oh, do you want me to sign it for you?
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Well, my book, Living on a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life, is the story of my life. It took 7 years to write it with my collaborator, David Ritz, one of the top collaborators of music biographies. And I feel like I needed to do something so that my sons would know me, because all they know me is daddy, and can I have this and that? I wanted them to, maybe after I'm gone, they'll read it and understand me better and understand how I became who I became. So it's really, you know, for them that I wrote it, and I'm very proud of it, and many stories here. So it's also in Greek. Libby Publications has translated the book into Greek, and so it can be seen there. And also there's an audiobook that's fun because I include music, and like their demos of me writing with Joan Jett. The first time we sang, I hate myself for loving you, and Livin La Vida Loca, co-writing with Draco Rosa. And it's really funny because I say, well, what about, she makes you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. Do you like that? And he goes, no. I fought for it and it stayed in the song. So there's wonderful things, and I think both are good because this book has 100 pictures in it. So it shows me in all of my phases, 50 years of every kind of hairdo, because I had long hair, I had what they call mullets, I had platform shoes, I had every kind of costume possible because I kept changing with the times. So in a way, it's a portrait of American culture, over the last 50 years.
Υπάρχει κάποιο κεφάλαιο μέσα που ξεχωρίζεις?
The most meaningful chapter to me is the chapter about meeting my husband. And my family is number one. So we had a beautiful, now 37 years together, and the journey to have children. We also made a documentary of that called Two, T-W-O, the story of Roman and Nero, N-Y-R-O. And I think it can be seen on Amazon Prime, and it tells our story. And so I also tell the story of wanting to have children and finding an egg donor and finding a surrogate mother who's, very close with us, Angela Whitaker. She's our angel, and our sons love her and spend time with her. And, it's a different kind of family, but, love makes a family. And so that's, to me, the best chapter.
Και αφού μιλάς για οικογένεια, θα ήθελα να σε ρωτήσω, μιας και ο Bon Jovi είναι ένα μέρος της οικογένειας, αφού έχει βαφτίσει τα δύο σου παιδιά, να μας πεις κάτι για αυτόν.
We're very close to the Bon Jovi family. The day before our sons were born, his son Jake was born. So we were all at the hospitals, talking, and John Bon Jovi is one of two godfathers for our two sons. So, John always says, well, if you can't find one, you can find the other when you need something. And so he's been a wonderful godfather and has been there for us, all the ups and downs of having children. You know how it is. They go through their phases, and there's nothing you can do but hang on. And so we love him, and we're getting ready to go and see him perform. Our sons are going to be there. And, he's just been absolutely one of the best friends I've ever had, and has always been supportive of me, especially with all these successes I've had with the other artists. He's never been jealous or anything like that. Well, maybe a little bit with Aerosmith, but that's when, they were both, coming up at the same time. But, he was happy I was successful, and was happy to share me with them.
Κλείνοντας, θα ήθελες να δώσεις μία συμβουλή στους νέους που θέλουν να ασχοληθούν με τη μουσική?
I often get asked the question, what would I advise a young person who's starting out in the music industry? And I think that education is the most important thing. I managed, I don't know how, to graduate from college. At the same time writing songs and performing in New York City with my group Desmond Child and Rouge. And I think that that's the thing that somehow is missed sometimes, because in our country, support for the arts has just been pulled away. And it's been happening now for, 30 years. little by little, schools don't have orchestras, choirs, painting studios, and it's all been about, you know, reading, writing, and arithmetic. There was a program called No Child Left Behind. Well, you know what? They were left behind because the arts open the mind, even if you want to become a scientist. Creativity is an important aspect of every job that anybody has. And so that's what I think is missing now. And I would advise people to self-educate, learn every instrument, learn how to sing, learn how to write poetry, learn how to program, learn how to use AI, use everything, and also don't forget to live, because that's where your songs will come from.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Και θέλω να σε ευχαριστήσω πάρα πολύ που ήσουν εδώ σήμερα. Ήταν πολύ μεγάλη τιμή για μένα να είσαι εδώ. Περιμένουμε πολλά πράγματα. Σε περιμένουμε ξανά στην Ελλάδα. Είσαι συνέχεια εδώ.
Well, thank you for inviting me to your show and to the people of Greece. Σ' αγαπώ πολύ.